Here's an anonymous question. It says, "Hey, Mike, I love what you do, bro. Can you help a brother out on what you do if your wife says she will never be a biblical wife for her husband? She's a believer." You, I'm going to say, I really mean these words. You love her self-sacrificially, you nourish her, cherish her, you bless her, and you do it especially when she says, "I'm never going to be a biblical wife for you." Because the way I view it, while there is a calling, and depends on, obviously, your version of biblical wife and my version of biblical wife might not be the same thing here, but let's set that aside for a minute. The calling on women, the way it's worded, it's always to women. It's never to men. And the calling on men is always to men and never to women. What I'm saying is, it is not a husband's responsibility to make his wife submit or yield. I'll say it again, it is not a husband's responsibility to make his wife submit. It is a wife's calling to submit to her husband in appropriate ways, in godly ways, and with limits, right? But it is her calling to do that. It is not the husband's calling to make her do that. The husband's called to love her self-sacrificially as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her, to cherish her and nourish her. These are the words in Ephesians 5. Husbands are never called to make their wives submit, because that's not part of our job. So if I have a wife that will not submit, then guess what? She just won't. And I continue going on serving the Lord in my marriage. And it means we can't do some things. Maybe I want to lead us down this road, but it's not going to happen because we're divided on these issues. And you lovingly, graciously serve. And you still try to lead to the best of your ability, but you don't, you're not forcing things, because forced submission, that's abuse. That's where abuse comes in. So I do think that, and we'll talk more about this as I do my women in ministry study over the next several weeks. But I do think there's a call for a woman to submit to her husband, right, with reasonable limits. But when a husband forces submission, when he tries to make it happen using manipulation, using nagging, and using whatever else, this becomes unhealthy and abusive in a relationship. And so, yeah, it's different with kids. So like a husband is never told you have to have your wife in subjection. He's never told that. He is told he has to have his kids in subjection, because children, you have to make them submit. That's part of, in a godly way, not beating them. Right. But you need to make your kids obey you. You force them to obey you. Children, little kids, right? As they grow older, you pull that off more and more. But never is this said about a woman. So that's why my answer to you is, what do I do about my wife? Is you do nothing. You do everything about you. You yield. You serve God. You love her that much more when she hurts you, when she mistreats you, when she wounds you. And that's exactly what Jesus did for us. And that is perhaps why God uses that analogy to describe your role as a husband.